Hi guys, I'm Zach,
And I'm Lauren.
and we're here with Kennedy Violins, and we're going to talk to you today about some of the nicer bows that we carry in our shop, and hopefully go over some features that would be a good guide to help you pick out a little nicer bow from us. So of course, we carry a lot of Pernambuco bows, and Pernambuco is going to be probably the #1 choice for most professional players and advanced players, but we also do have some really nice Coda bows, which are carbon fiber bows, and we'll go over some of the features of those because, there really are a lot of options these days when it comes to nicer bows, and we're going to just help you narrow in on what might work for you. Okay, so the first bows we're going to talk about are going to be the Coda bows. So the Coda bows, we actually carry the full lineup of their bows, not just for violin, but also for viola, cello, and bass. And probably the most popular bows in their lineup are going to be the Diamond series bows, which come in an NX, SX, and a GX, and they kind of step up in price with those. They also have some nicer bows beyond those, the Marquis bows, which are really phenomenal bows as well. So the great thing about Coda bow is they've got Kevlar cores in all these Diamond series bows, and they really pull a more complex sound than a lot of your more like student level bows that are carbon fiber bows, but they do keep that great consistency and durability. Lauren, what do you think about playing on the Coda bows?
I like them a lot. Again, kind of that consistency level. I mean, they're really, really nice, high quality carbon fiber bows. I would say these bows would be great for like the advancing high school student into college, and then also just if you're a professional musician, it's a great bow to kind of take to like outdoor concerts if you're playing outside, or if you tend to travel a lot when you play. Nicer maybe to take something like this than something like a Pernambuco wood bow.
Yeah, which is really great too, because if you are as well like a student and your teacher's recommending a bow, you can recommend a SX bow, say, with confidence, and each one is going to play really consistently like the next one. There's not as much variance in bow to bow like wood bows. All right, so the next bows we're going to talk about are going to be some of the bows that we get from Brazilian makers, which are Pernambuco bows. There's really 3 companies we deal with primarily. There are the Larche Brazil, the Arcos Brazil, and the Marco Raposo bows. So those are the 3 kind of companies we get most of our Pernambuco bows from that are Brazilian-made Pernambuco bows. The makers down in Brazil really have done a lot to improve their making. There's a lot of history now with Brazilian bow makers. There's some really fine makers down there, and they have a lot of tradition dating back to, French and European bow making traditions. And so a lot of the bows that we get, they also come in different levels. So, you can start out with a nickel mounted bow that is half mounted. Usually those are going to be above the $500 price point, but those are kind of the entry level into a Brazilian made Pernambuco bow. And of course, up from there you can get a standard fully mounted nickel bow, and then into silver mounted bows. Mm-hmm. And then also there's some kind of special edition, like here I have a Dodd model from Larche Brazil, and they also feature some really nice copies as well as some like gold mounted bows and things like that. So basically the difference is when the makers are kind of choosing what to mount these bows with, they usually choose their finer choices of wood, like their nicest wood is going to go into some of the nicer bows. So you'll see like with that going into more like silver mounted and special edition bows, and then they're also going to take a little more time in making those bows as well. Mm-hmm. So in general they're going to make for a little nicer bow, and these bows really are for the advanced player and even into professional players as well.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I noticed just playing on each of these bows is that they're all very, very different. I mean, it's something that you really kind of have to try out for yourself, and some players prefer kind of a heavier weighted bow. Others, like myself, like something a little bit lighter, something that can bounce a little easier. So it's really just up to preference. I definitely recommend, if you are interested in trying one of our nicer Pernambuco bows, is to just do an in-home trial. So that way you can get a feel for it. You can get a feel for sound with your particular instrument.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. That's a really great thing. So we actually offer in-home trials for $20, which is less than the cost of shipping. And basically, you can get up to 4 bows for that to try. Because even if you're playing a bow that's, say, a nickel-mounted bow from the same maker, same company, they can play vastly different. It's just because they're made of natural materials, and they might be just kind of cambered slightly different. So you really do want to try each bow out. And I think the great way to do that is through our in-home trial program. Or if you're local local, of course, you can come into our shop and play on all our bows. All right, so the next bows we're going to talk about are kind of some bows that are more vintage bows, or they're bows that are kind of contemporary, but they're by usually American or European makers, and they can get quite expensive. So I have a bow here by James Morris Robert that's a gold-mounted bow. This bow actually is retailing for $6,000. I have one by a maker from California, Stephen Beckley. This bow, fantastic bow, but it is $5,000. So we get a lot of kind of questions, people kind of maybe look in awe when they hear some of the bow prices out. Really, when you are getting into a more professional bow, it is not uncommon for people to spend in this range or even above it for professional level bows. And we do have a selection of these bows in our shop, but it really is not uncommon to hear someone playing like a $10,000 violin to also have a $5,000 bow. Just like it's not also uncommon for someone playing something more in the $2,000 range to have a bow that is in the $600 to $1,000 range.
Yeah, I've definitely had the pleasure of playing on a lot of these higher end bows here in the shop, and I can say that they're very, very, very nice. I'm able to get a really high quality professional sound. I've even trialed a couple of them myself, kind of, as I play professionally in the area, and they play really, really well at the orchestral level and just at the professional level too. If you're just like a soloist or playing with a small group, they do really, really nice.
Yeah, and part of the reason why these bows are getting more and more expensive is just in part because Pernambuco is becoming a more and more rare wood, and so the cost of just the raw materials have gone up exponentially, I feel like, over the last 20 years, and they're projected to do so. So, especially getting bows that are maybe a vintage bow or contemporary from like US or European makers, just the cost for them to get the nicer Pernambuco in general is pretty expensive these days, so you can expect to pay a lot more for one of these types of bows. But it's something that probably will continue to go up in the future, so it also is probably a good way to hold on to some value in your bow as well. So I thought maybe with that we might have Lauren just maybe do a little short demo. Maybe we'll choose something like one of our lower end Pernambuco bows and maybe try something with one of the higher end bows and just kind of see if there's a difference. So hopefully you could hear the difference between those bows. I definitely felt there was a lot more broad and kind of like, resonant sound out of the more expensive bow. But yeah, if you do have any questions about what might fit for you, I really do recommend doing a bow trial. But also, you can always give us a call. We're all players and musicians here, and we'd be happy to help you. Thanks.